Without a doubt, Conor McGregor is MMA's biggest star, the sport to another level during his ascension to glory.
146 pounds! From Dublin, Ireland, Conor McGregor!
But while his achievements are forever set in stone, the public's perception of him and even his legacy are hanging by a thread. From the top lightweight on the planet, for many, McGregor has become more of an attraction, an obscenely wealthy businessman and a movie star, but a real fighter no more.
Conor McGregor, three things, okay? Fighter, artist, entertainer. The artist and the entertainer are every bit as important to the career as the fight itself.
You think Conor can ever be what he once was, having accumulated the wealth? Did you think that 100 million changed Conor? Does he still have the desire to go train and punch people in the face and get kicked in the face like he did when he was broke?
It's impossible for that money not to affect you and phase you. Conor's one of the very unique few that was able to capitalize on his fame, his personality, and everything else outside of the octagon.
However, the Notorious disagrees with this notion and believes he can make the greatest comeback in combat sports.
Here you are, training for a return.
You know, not only just a return, Megan, the greatest return in combat sports. This is going to be, I'm going to kick this guy in the head. I'm aiming to wrap this steel bar around the opponent.
The first step in this would be getting through Michael Chandler, one of the most entertaining and violent fighters on the roster. The American has otherworldly power and explosion, but also overreaches, lunges forward recklessly, and is one of the most hittable fighters, exactly what Conor thrives for. As an expert counter-striker, a master of distance management and precision striking, McGregor has made a career of catching less than perfectly placed attacks, and if both men are close to what we last saw before their layoffs, chances are strongly on the side of McGregor.
I just feel there's something special about the way that McGregor controls the space that his opponents step into. Michael Chandler's not very strategic in the way that he fights these days. He's there for a scrap. You know, when you've got someone that's reckless, like Aldo was, they run into range and he picks them off. The ability to manage distance and control range that McGregor's got, that's what keeps him head and shoulders above Michael Chandler in this one.
For newer fans, this may seem odd, but they can be forgiven if they know the Notorious only by his more recent fights and countless out-of-the-ring mishaps. But he did not become famous by talking his way into riches and fame. He did it by backing up his talk with his fists. Mere weeks before Conor's last chance at resurrecting his MMA career and title aspirations, let's relive his legendary career, which went through the highest highs and the lowest lows. Conor McGregor's start in MMA was not exactly spectacular, but even as a poor and unknown kid, Conor spoke of greatness and legendary feats. Few would have guessed back then how prophetic his words were.
My name is Conor McGregor and I live in Lucan. I'm a professional MMA fighter with a record of 4-1. I'm an up-and-coming fighter and without a doubt you will see me on the UFC in the near future, without a doubt. My dream is to be world lightweight champion in the UFC, have more money than I know what to do with, and have a great life for my kids, my grandkids, everyone in my family, everyone that's come up with me.
After a single amateur fight, McGregor turned pro in 2008. Even back then, he moved between featherweight and lightweight. After a rocky 4-2 start, Conor started piling up a winning streak, culminating in winning the Cage Warriors featherweight belt in June 2012. In December of the same year, he conquered the featherweight strap and became the first double champion in the promotion, a feat he would later replicate on the biggest fighting stage. The call from the UFC would come soon enough, and Conor was scheduled to fight Marcus Brimage in Sweden. His debut was nothing short of spectacular. A little more than a minute was required for McGregor to showcase his precision striking and dismantle the American. The win also gave Conor his first taste of real money as a prize fighter. The McGregor era had begun, regardless of whether anyone recognized it yet. For people who caught up with McGregor once he became a superstar, he might seem too pretentious, and seeing him fight only once every few years is the norm. But young Conor was a hungry lion and a true fighter, willing to fight anyone, anytime.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock. I am number one. So if you are number one, who gives a shit if number two steps out in place of number three? At the end of the day, I'm number one. So it makes no difference who is standing across the octagon from me. I will win.
This trait was instrumental in his ascension, but is rarely given credit for. 4 months after his debut, McGregor faced a young and unpolished but always dangerous Max Holloway. The 3-round fight was a great showcase of Conor's fluid and loose striking. All the greatest masters managed to flow effortlessly in the moment, and McGregor outstruck Max in an entertaining battle. The Irishman suffered torn ligaments in the fight and had to endure his first lengthy layoff.
I injured my knee and fuck it.
Do you think you'll need surgery? Is it that serious?
I honestly don't know. It just felt steady. I just felt unsteady. It was a big pop. When I was just passing into side control, he bridged and rolled and he had my foot and it just heard a pop. Into side control I went. And then whatever happened, we scrambled back to the feet and then I literally knew it was unsteady, so I just had to readjust. I tried to play around. I threw a little side kick, threw some shots, but anytime it was wobbly.
He did not waste this time though. Despite being unable to fight, staying active on social media increased his stock and hype, and McGregor got the opportunity to headline a card upon his return, which was just his 3rd fight for the UFC. Since his first day, Conor has proudly displayed his Irish ancestry and commanded hordes of fans. The event was only the 2nd to be held in Dublin, and the tickets were sold out mere hours after they were put on sale. McGregor's initial opponent was supposed to be Cole Miller, but he pulled out and was replaced by Diego Brandao. This was also when he first saw Mystic Mac.
I think straight from the bell he's going to feel pressure like he's never felt before. He's going to be on the back foot. He's going to see shots happening that he's never seen before. He'll have his back against that fence from the bell and I'll press him and press him and press him and crack him with shots that he hasn't felt, and then ultimately he will crumble, and I do believe he won't get out of the first round.
Soon enough, the event unfolded exactly as McGregor predicted in front of the ecstatic crowd in Dublin. Despite the Brazilian's valiant effort, he was no match for McGregor and lasted only 4 minutes before crumpling to the canvas. Now, everyone knew McGregor was here to take over. Conor was determined not to stay idle and was back in action 2 months later on the main card of UFC 178 against Dustin Poirier. By then, Conor McGregor interviews and press conferences were becoming as anticipated as the fights themselves.
Dustin thinks it's all talk. But when he wakes up with his nose plastered on the other side of his face, he's gonna know it's not all talk.
You fought some of the best fighters in the division, but is this your toughest test today?
If Conor could fight half as good as he can speak, I think it would be.
A gust of wind and he does the chicken dance, you know what I mean? Coming up against me, that's not going to be good. I'm going to crack him with a jab and he's going to wobble and I'm going to put him away early. It's going to be a first round KO, mark my words. Look, don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back arse of nowhere. But his chin is going to be cracked, and it's going to be cracked early. And I don't hit like these people. I haven't got experience at the top level. He main evented one UFC event and lost. I main evented my hometown, and it was one of the best UFC events in history, and I stopped the guy inside 1 round. He'll wake up and he'll bow before me. Dustin's little pea head is going to get removed. It's going to get put into my collection, and I'm going to get on my way to the gold.
Even though Dustin had much more fighting experience than Conor, the verbal warfare the Irishman so expertly waged took a heavy toll on the American's composure. Come fight night, everything went down as Mystic Mac had predicted. A vicious first-round knockout, and McGregor got another solid boost to his already mythical persona.
That's the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake about it. Conor McGregor is for real, and he really did just make it look easy.
Conor McGregor has borrowed our belt, and he's got a microphone.
Get your facts right, John. I didn't borrow nothing. I stepped out of that cage. I met Jose in the lobby. He handed me the belt, kissed my feet, and said I apologize, and I carried on. Here I am with my newly acclaimed world title. Yeah, I don't just knock them out. I picked around, John, yeah? And I done what I said I was gonna do. I feed off this. I love this stuff. This is what gives me energy. Saying I'm gonna do something. Putting it out there for the world to see.
and then going out and doing it.
Conor had already stated his title aspirations loud and clear, but he first had to face a ranked opponent. The chosen one was number 10 ranked Dennis Siver. The fight was viewed as a mismatch, and Conor predicted a knockout in 2 minutes in front of what could very well be called a home crowd in Boston. While he needed 1 round more than anticipated, the roaring fans were treated with another McGregor masterpiece as Siver went down at the start of the 2nd round. Almost immediately, Conor leaped over the cage and confronted featherweight champion Jose Aldo, igniting the heated rivalry. The UFC were determined not to save money promoting the bout, so McGregor and Aldo went on a 12-day world tour, visiting 5 countries. The whole buildup was a spectacle, and Conor showed a complete mastery of the art of psychological warfare.
I own this town. I own Rio de Janeiro. I'm sitting up here with my feet on the desk. What's anyone up there gonna do about it? Not one of you are gonna do anything about it. So for him to say he is the king and I am the joker, if this was a different time, I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to walk. But we are in a new time, so I'll whoop his ass in July.
I'm the champion. King of Dublin. I'm the real champion. At the king of Dublin, yeah? You're looking at him. Looking at him.
Rarely, if ever, has a fighter been so deep in the mind of his opponent as Conor was in Aldo's. The kid of Rio was not himself. He hadn't lost in nearly 10 years and was riding on an 18-fight win streak, 10 of which were in championship fights. And yet the cocky Irishman owned the room every time the two were close to each other, and with every passing moment, with every press conference and interview, Aldo was losing his composure and was playing to Conor's rules. A couple of weeks before the UFC 189 date, Aldo had to withdraw with an injury. Conor, however, was adamant he wanted to compete at the event regardless of the opponent, and Chad Mendes filled the slot. Many regarded this as the right thing to happen since Conor skipped the whole line of contenders and hadn't fought a single grappler in the UFC. Mendes was the number 1 contender at featherweight, and with a heavy wrestling background, was the perfect opponent to either derail the hype train or prove Conor's worth.
I will be happy to punch this dude in the face. Even if it's 1 solid time, I'm good to go. So this is definitely a fight I wasn't going to turn down. And then when Dana threw in the interim title, it just made it that much better.
With the interim belt on the line for a few minutes, it seemed that McGregor's detractors were right, and his flashy striking style was no match for a wrestler. But a little blood and adversity would not stop the Irishman, and his retaliation was swift. McGregor took Mendes' best shots on the ground and endured, but when his left hand finally found the chin of Mendes, it was all over. Now, the fight with Aldo had an even bigger charge in stake. It would be a unification bout scheduled for UFC 194 in December 2015. This was perhaps the most anticipated fight in the promotion's history.
If he makes that walk and if he is in the octagon, I feel every single movement I make will get an overreaction off of him because he's emotionally invested in it. There's too much in it for him. That's what I see the fight playing now. I feel him overreacting, overextending, and then being KO'd unconscious.
If you do lose to Jose Aldo?
That is not in the equation. That does not process in my brain for 1 second.
Can you not allow yourself then as a fighter to go into that?
I could try,
yeah,
but it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't even happen. I
there
couldn't even try and feel that if I tried my best.
And Conor quickly returned to psychologically destroying Aldo. At fight night, the whole mental game paid off in spades. As Conor predicted, Aldo overreacted, overreached, and was unconscious after 13 seconds from one of the most beautiful counterstrikes ever produced in combat sports.
Smiling.
The record-setting fastest finish in a title bout made Conor McGregor a superstar.
We'd like to welcome the brand new featherweight champion of the world, Conor McGregor, the Notorious one. The first question I need to ask you, what the heck just happened out there? 1 punch over.
I did say that the right hand would be his downfall. I felt he would tense his body, he'd load the right hand, and he would overextend, and I'd catch him. I said that would be the shot that landed, and that's the shot that landed. Like usually happens, if I say it's going to happen, it happens.
Unfortunately, this phenomenal success can also be seen as the beginning of the Irishman's gradual decline. The meteoric rise in fame and fortune pushed Conor down a road many fighters have fallen, and he would often be seen at parties visibly drunk or drugged. This didn't seem to influence his fighting ability before, but he would soon find himself beaten for the first time in the UFC by an unlikely foe. Now the featherweight champion, McGregor wanted to conquer the lightweight division and replicate the feat he produced in Cage Warriors.
I'm looking to replicate what I have achieved in my previous promotion, a two-weight world champion, held consecutively. I said I would do it, and I will do it. If I go up to that lightweight division, there's no way in hell that I'm vacating my belt. That's not happening. There'll be a belt on one shoulder and a belt on the other shoulder. I will still be the featherweight champion also. So I will be a dual weight champion. There's no going up and vacating. The belts will still be active because I am active. I'm going straight up. So I'm bringing these big numbers, and the sky is the limit.
The idea was liked by the UFC brass, and a fight against champion Rafael dos Anjos was scheduled for March 2016. However, shortly before the fight, the Brazilian pulled out due to a foot injury. The position was quickly assumed by a crafty veteran, Nate Diaz, and Conor finally had an opponent more than willing to trade insults with him. In fact, Nate has trash-talked throughout his lengthy career, but never received wide recognition. But his post-fight speech a few months prior would prove to be the one that changed everything.
Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for.
Because of the short notice, the fight was moved to welterweight, which would surely benefit the bigger Diaz. While Conor was the better striker in everyone's eyes, the question was how well his knockout power would transfer to two divisions above the one he was champion at. Regardless, everyone expected Conor to destroy the Stockton bad boy sooner or later in the fight. The Notorious came out as he always does, pressing the action and applying his precision and power. He landed his signature left, time and time again. But where all previous opponents had fallen, Diaz endured, and at the end of the first, Conor was visibly wearing the effort. Perhaps it was the unfamiliar weight or Nate's indomitable will, but in the second round, McGregor was visibly exhausted, and Nate rocked him hard, forcing the Irishman to panic wrestle. His fate on the ground was no better, and seconds later, Conor was tapping to a rear naked choke. Just like that, the Invincible Man has been bloodied, battered, and defeated. With a single performance and a post-interview, Nate Diaz has become a star, and his decade-long efforts were finally rewarded. For a brief moment, we saw a warrior humble in defeat as the Irishman recognized his failings in the fight.
Can you describe the emotions after a loss like that?
You know, it stings real bad, but this is the fight business. I've been on the end of many defeats in my life, and I've rose back, so I will not shy away from it. I will not make excuses for it. I will assess it and come back. I panicked a little bit, and this is it. You win or you learn. So.
However, as the rematch of this monumental upset was set, the humble version of Conor disappeared, and the Notorious resurfaced in his full glory. Driven by his desire for redemption, McGregor insisted the rematch be held again at welterweight, and Diaz gladly obliged. The press conference on Fight Week was the first of many following instances where Conor's attitude and shenanigans would cross over the line of entertainment and venture into pure hooliganism.
That's all right. Hey, Conor, don't throw those fucking hands. Conor.
The rematch broke the record for the highest-selling pay-per-view, and all those who spent their hard-earned cash got their money's worth. Conor was as calm and collected as ever, but also oozed malicious intent. He hurt Diaz early with low kicks and his left, but Diaz is one of the most durable fighters ever to enter the octagon and kept going. In the second, Diaz was bloodied and knocked down twice more, but kept coming back and started to dish out punishment of his own. By the end of the third, McGregor looked all but finished, but somehow found his second wind and stood toe-to-toe with Nate in the championship rounds to eke out a thin majority decision in a legendary battle.
The Notorious Conor McGregor!
In the meantime, lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos was dethroned by Eddie Alvarez. And with the Diaz saga over for the moment, Conor was back to his grand goal of winning a second belt. A feat of this magnitude, not completed prior, demanded a suitable venue, and the fight was scheduled for UFC 205, the first event to be held in New York at the legendary Madison Square Garden. The Notorious was blasting on all cylinders during the press conferences, and slowly but surely was turning heel.
I'm gonna sell some shit.
But his prediction always came true, and this time, he predicted a first-round KO over Alvarez.
And Mystic Mac predicts I'm gonna KO you inside 1 round.
Sure enough, Alvarez would prove no match for McGregor, and the Irishman picked apart his prey within a couple of minutes. Conor achieved a historical feat by becoming the first champ and made it all look too easy.
Obviously, you have made history. You're the featherweight champ, you're the lightweight champ. Where do we go from here?
There's a lot of things I've got lined up right now. I'm about to be a daddy early next year, so
Congrats.
thank you so much. So I'm freaking out over that one a little bit, to be honest, because I don't really know what to be doing. So I hold all the cards now, so someone's got to come present something really sweet to keep me sweet, because I keep proving what I'm saying, and I am the reason the company was sold for $4.2 billion, and that's no word of a lie. So
now a superstar transcending the sport, he decided not to defend either of his 2 titles, which were eventually stripped for inactivity, but rather to capitalize on his fame and make the most money possible. When his demands for ownership in the UFC did not materialize, he negotiated a meeting with boxing's biggest star, Floyd Mayweather, which would become the most profitable fight in history. Both complete masters at monetizing the fight game, McGregor and Mayweather produced a huge build-up and even convinced most fans that the fight would be competitive.
I just want to speak to all the boxing pussies, all the little pundit pussies, supposed experts. You're fucking crazy if you think this man stands a chance. His head is too small. 1 shot is all it takes me. Check the facts. I bounce shots off there. I bounce heads off the canvas and dribble that shit. He's never even fought a day in his life. He's a runner. He's boxing's biggest bitch.
But on fight night, it quickly became evident that boxing and MMA are 2 very different games. And in the ring, Mayweather operates on a different level than anyone else. Despite suffering a 10-round TKO loss, Conor made an obscene amount of money and further increased his fame. Throughout this period, Conor frequently made the headlines for all the wrong reasons, but it was during UFC 223 Fight Week that he finally lost it. After lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov had a minor altercation with Artem Lobov, who was a part of Conor's team, the Irishman decided to return the favor and pulled off one of the ugliest scenes in MMA history. Khabib was not the only one on the bus, and 2 fights had to be removed from the card because Michael Chiesa and Ray Borg had been injured during the incident.
We're disgusted with him right now. Completely disgusted. Listen, you don't like Khabib and you don't like what happened or whatever, then fight Khabib. You can come in here and you can do it legally. This fight's happening Saturday. We could have talked and made the Khabib fight right after. You could do whatever you wanted to Khabib within the limits of the rules of fighting. But you want to grab 30 friends and come down here and do what you did today? It's disgusting.
As expected, Conor faced a lot of legal trouble, but he also set the stage for the biggest fight in MMA history. The build-up to the fight was ugly. Whereas Conor's earlier shenanigans seemed fun and a way to promote his fights and get into the heads of his opponents, this time, things seemed too personal and distasteful for most.
I'm coming here for smash this guy. I don't
Smash
wanna
me,
talk.
mate.
I don't wanna.
Smash me.
I can
You say send location. Here he is, right here in front of you. I'm right in front of you. Did you not see me outside the bus now? Did you not see me right in front of you outside the fucking bus? Do something about it. Do something about it. Yeah, you'll do nothing. If you would have got off that bus, you'd be dead now.
No, okay.
You'd be dead and I'd be in a cell.
If
so
you want...
shut your fucking mouth with messages.
No,
Do I look
if
like
you
a bloke
want,
that messages
I
blokes?
come out
Do I look
bus.
like a bloke
But
that
why
messages
you come?
blokes? Fuck you.
Everybody knows in media days, a lot of security. Of course, I'm gonna sit in bus with all red corners.
Shit in bus.
He come with 40 people.
Shit in bus.
Anything.
That I don't
I'm
actually...
gonna put him back to box.
I'm
gonna put him back to box.
They'll bang a shite off you, mate. I know he is afraid of a smack. And if you're afraid of a smack off me, a smack will feel like a double-barrel shotgun.
Fuck him and his mentality. I don't give a fuck about him. My heart is black towards this man, towards his team, towards his people. I could truly see the inside of that man's head and smile. I don't give a fuck about him or his people. Like I said, there is way deeper shit than just a fight on Saturday night.
But every single insult, threat, and promise backfired badly on fight night. UFC 229 is still the highest-selling pay-per-view by a long stretch, and the atmosphere in the arena was fitting for the occasion. Conor came out as a man certain of his victory. However, sheer power of will is not enough when the opponent is equally strong mentally. The first round went as expected, and the unstoppable Dagestani's wrestling was on full display. What no one anticipated, though, was Khabib flooring Conor with a punch in the second, which tipped the scales entirely in favor of the champion. Khabib fought with animosity he hadn't shown before or after this fight. He mauled McGregor until, in the fourth, he almost crushed his neck with a crank to put an exclamation mark on the fight. As it would quickly turn out, the fight was not enough to settle the dispute for Nurmagomedov and his team.
He's screaming at Dylan Dennis, Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach. Look at him. Oh,
and
no,
now Khabib
no,
jumps
no,
the fence.
No.
Whoa! No. And he's going right at Dylan Dennis. Mayhem. Oh, no.
The Khabib loss haunted Conor badly. His tweets became even more toxic, and he lost any semblance of dignity. His personal life spiraled from one mishap to another. For a time, it seemed Conor was done with the sport for good.
This is big news in the world of mixed martial arts and the UFC. Arguably the biggest name associated with the organisation, Conor McGregor, has announced his MMA retirement.
Conor McGregor says he's done with the ring. He made the announcement in a tweet early this morning.
UFC star Conor McGregor says he is retiring from MMA fighting. He's throwing in the towel, he says, just 1 week after being arrested for smashing a fan's cell phone in Florida.
But he returned to fighting in January 2020 against legend Donald Cerrone. As Conor put it, it was a fan-friendly bout, but it was also a perfect matchup for him to rebound from his losses to Mayweather and Khabib.
I am setting out for big goals. I'm going to kickstart UFC's 2020 year big, and I'm going to continue it. But I'm very happy. I have a lot of exciting things in the pipeline, and it's damn good to be back. It's damn good.
For this fight, Conor completely ditched the flamboyant and insolent persona and instead carried himself as a confident but respectful martial artist. As many expected, the aging cowboy did not present much of a challenge, and Conor knocked him out in 40 seconds. This post-fight statement had fans in high hopes that we would once again see McGregor at his best, with a hunger for competition in his heart.
You know, I like this weight division. I feel really good. It's good going up and down. So I'm going to party tonight, celebrate, spend time with my family, and then get back in the gym and train. And any one of these little mouthy fools can get it.
But in reality, nothing materialized for another year, until McGregor and Dustin Poirier were scheduled to fight in Abu Dhabi. This time around, everything was the polar opposite of their first meeting. McGregor was confident in his skills and the outcome, but also respectful, and there was zero animosity between them.
Dustin has put on an incredible run since our last fight. It's been a long time coming. Yes, I did get the win over him the first time. But, you know, he's rose right up and he's back up there at the top of the division. So I'm excited to go and compete with him again. So, you know what I mean? He's putting in the work. I've been highly impressed. I think the whole business has been highly impressed. He's given so much back. I'm honoured to share this octagon with this man. I know we have this competitive fire, but the respect is admirable for this man from me. I'm going to go in there and I believe I can get him out there and possibly will hit him early and hurt him. But you know, I hope for a good long bout.
Dustin was not fighting emotionally this time, and while Conor had spent years on the sideline, the Diamond had become an embodiment of his nickname as a fighter. The two exchanged hard and often, but the most important strikes would prove to be Dustin's calf kicks, which crippled McGregor. One low kick and right hook countered too many, and Conor was backed up against the fence. Another flurry, and he was knocked out for the first time in his career. With one win each, it was only fitting that Poirier and McGregor would meet again.
What was it like fighting Conor when he wasn't an asshole? Was that weird?
Dude, you know fighting is hectic already.
Yeah.
You're about to go in there for 25 minutes and you've been training, so you know what's on the line. So it's just a lot of pressure. So just it being a little bit more calm for me was smooth sailing, man. You know?
It's really better for him to be an asshole.
Yeah, be an asshole.
And the trilogy fight happened at UFC 264 in July 2021. All of a sudden, the Notorious was back, and the energy surrounding the fight was electric with personal hate and animosity.
See that?
Dustin showed no respect for McGregor's power this time and pounced on him, transferring the fight to the ground early. In the closing seconds of the round, the Irishman got back to his feet but suddenly fell back. A few seconds later, it became clear his leg had snapped in half and the fight was over. You would think a fighter who has lost twice in a row to the same opponent and is sitting on the canvas with a broken leg would show humility. But then again, Conor is not any fighter.
Give us your thoughts on how it was going.
I was boxing the bleeding head off him, kicking the bleeding leg off him. This is not over. If we had to take this outside with him, it's all outside. We don't give a bollocks.
This would seem to be the final page of McGregor's fighting story. With a flair for business and making money, the Irishman is set financially for multiple lifetimes, and the probability of him ever fighting again seemed lower and lower with every day.
In a perfect world, Conor fights Chandler in December in Vegas. In a perfect world.
That's what Conor wants.
In a perfect world. But he hasn't fought in a couple of years. Like, is that going to happen? But that's the problem as time goes on. Like, if he doesn't fight for a year from now, it's a tough sell.
But after a million tweets, rumors, statements, false promises, and more than 2 years of call-outs between the two,
Conor McGregor, get your candy ass back to the octagon!
Conor is finally set to fight Michael Chandler. Despite both being 1-3 in their last 4 fights, the fight between the two is as hotly anticipated as any championship bout. McGregor promises the greatest return in combat sports, but after 3 years of layoffs and back-to-back losses, few seem to believe the 36-year-old fighter has what it takes to become champion again. But no one can deny McGregor has been touched by destiny for greatness, and perhaps we haven't seen the last of him. Michael Chandler is the perfect opponent for him. A wildly entertaining striker and a fan favorite, he always delivers exciting fights and has the right style to let McGregor shine again. Win or lose, the Conor McGregor ride has been the most entertaining one in MMA history. But if he somehow defies all logic and finds a way back to the top, this would indeed be a feat of mythical proportions.